would be failing if I won't admit that he is a kind of an encyclopedia of movies, and his wit and humor is unmatched. Okay, though a very senior a teacher, but his demeanors, and if you talk to him, you feel as though he is in his 20s. Okay, very humorous, a very witty individual. Importantly, he is also a very, very deeply spiritual man. Okay. Uh, so let me briefly introduce Dr. Ikirala to you all. Dr. Ikirala is an associate professor in OB and HR in Institute of Management Technology. He got his MBA and PG diploma in PM and IR, which is Personal Management and Industrial Relations from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and PhD from the same university. His thesis was titled Emotional Intelligence and Transformational Leadership as Antecedents of Contextual Performance and Employee Attitudes. He has over 3 decades of combined experience in industry research and academics, apart from a stint of full-time voluntary service of over 7 years in a spiritual organization. He has co-authored a book with Dr. Smita Dabholkar, who engaged you yesterday, okay, on emotional intelligence theory and practice. And again, let me repeat that this book is forwarded by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His interests include emotional intelligence, leadership, organizational structure and design, workplace and corporate spirituality. He hails from a family renowned for contribution to spirituality, values, and disciplined way of life. Okay, so we have a practicing teacher and a spiritualist amongst us. Okay, so it's over to you, Dr. Ikirala. Okay, the floor is all yours, and I know you will floor the participants over here with your delivery. Okay, so over to you, Dr. Ikirala.
Thank you, Dr. Mohanty. I think you made my job more difficult by raising the expectations of the audience. Very good morning to enlightened faculty members, teachers, researchers, scholars. So I'm glad to be here before you to interact on this auspicious occasion during the Dasara, Goddess of Knowledge. So we are all channels of distributing, imparting knowledge here. I hope I am audible. Sorry. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're perfectly loud and clear.
Okay, fine. Well, my presentation, I'm sure this is a different kind of a presentation where you will have less PPTs and more of videos and GIFs and so on and so forth. So we'll just take you through a small short journey. In fact, I have been experimenting with different pedagogical tools, including short videos and movies and movie scenes and clips and so on, including filmy dialogues, which have been very effective in terms of engaging the students and grabbing and retaining, sustaining and attention, because given the fact that the attention span of the students is eroding. To start with, I just wish to share with you a very small PPT, which does not have any much of text. So it is worth to recall the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a picture with moving picture with words is more than 10,000 words. So I strongly believe in this, and I have been experimenting in trial and error method, this kind of pedagogy. Before we proceed into the presentation, I would like to share with you this small PPT, which does not have much of a text, but picture says it all. So the role of a teacher is the title of the PPT. Well, the PPT presentation will sum up the role of us as teachers, as faculty members. Now, since my most of my presentation goes through GIF and video mode, so I would like to mute my camera and videos to show my face, because I'm sure you are more interested in seeing the presentation and the clips rather than my face. So I hope you would excuse me if I mute my turn the camera off to make sure that the bandwidth is managed and maintained at the optimum levels to preserve the presentation quality of this session. So at the outset, once again, I thank Dr. Jagannath Mohanty, our ex-area chair and an innovative teacher himself and researcher. And I'm thankful to him for increasing the bar of my presentation by speaking out so much. Well, today's challenge is, as we have seen in the PPTs that we have shared just now, the role of a teacher that sums up the entire role of us. Today, the pedagogy that we follow in the B schools, there are a plethora of tools and techniques. So at one extreme, typically we have the lecture method, traditionally chat and talk. At the other extreme, there is simulation or learning on the field projects. So in between these two extremes, but we play around with many other things. Every method has its own drawback. The case study method, for example, has its own limitations. We all experience day in and day out that students sometimes, not sometimes, many a times, they don't come prepared with the readings and cases for discussion, or sometimes they cannot relate to the case itself because of the unfamiliar context. And we see all the time, most of the time. Of course, role play is a better option, but it has its own limitations because it's not useful or applicable in all kinds of contexts. It has its own set of disciplines and relevance only in specific topics. So at the other extreme, we have the simulation. Today, computer simulations have taken a center stage. It requires a license and an elaborate setup in the form of a computer laboratory, which may not be available with all the B schools. So So following the path of, easiest path, a lesser known used tool for imparting learning is video and films. Today, the focus has shifted from teaching to learning. So it is necessary and pertinent that we use a combination of different tools and techniques to disseminate knowledge, because people are not interested in acquiring knowledge. They are interested more in acquiring skills and application orientation. So the issue is becoming particularly critical where too many subjects are crammed into a trimester in most of the B schools. We have challenges, and as I said, the focus has shifted from teaching to learning, because now the accreditation requirements, assurance of learning, learning objectives, measurable, tangible, objective, numerical. So days are gone now. Today assurance of learning, AOL, has become critical. So learning is more taken a center stage. On the other hand, we have the attention span of the students becoming shorter, and the reckless use of mobile phones during the class hours is playing a spoil sport in the classroom. So B schools are trying hard to tackle this in several ways, right from banning mobile phones in classrooms to imposition of fines, but in vain. So given all these factors taking into consideration, so a lesser used tool for imparting learning is videos and films, because they will attract and grab and retain and sustain the attention of student, which is the most important factor in learning process. To make it, it's the responsibility of the faculty to make the content, appealing to the Gen Z, which are coming now, new generation. And relatively large number of management related films are today available, as well as short videos. So they are freely available, in fact. So you can use these films to expand or extend the attention span of students. And you break the monotony, in fact, not only video clips, and I often use the dialogues also, very famous and popular filmy dialogues in order to drive home a point. So, and another advantage of this tool of using videos and movies is that it is easy and free resources are available, different durations to suit our session duration. And they can also be used in management development programs where participants are from different backgrounds and richer profile. So on the other hand, in our classrooms, the visual and emotional impact of movies can engage the students in such a way that lectures and textbooks alone, they fail to do so. Even literary themes, mathematical concepts and scientific discoveries, important historical events can all come alive on the screen. So by using these techniques. So this is the reality of today, what we have been. So the need is there for us to change, use a combination of techniques. When you look at today's digital citizens, the reality of today is net generation of students. They're so sophisticated with technology, and they have been branded as a digital natives. In fact, there is extensive research about this next generation or net generation. So digital is their native language. If you look at, They are the native speakers of the language of computers, video games, and the internet. They are much more knowledgeable while using these kind of technology tools and gadgets, especially. So they outperform the faculty on many of these, preparing these kind of presentations where these kind of gadgets are being. So what are they doing with all these equipment? They are actually listening to music, they're playing PC video games, talking on iPhones, and sending text messages, watching videos, and multitasking actually. So there is a research study before we get. For instance, if you see,
मुझे घर नहीं जाना।
Excuse me?
You excuse me, आप मेरे फ्यूचर के साथ खेल रहे हो। कितने बैकवर्ड है ये लोग। वाईफाई चोर हो, इंटरनेट कनेक्शन तक नहीं है इनके घर पे।
अरे इनके घर लैपटॉप या कंप्यूटर नहीं है तो इंटरनेट का
तीन स्मार्टफोन है घर पे। वो क्या दुआओं पे करते हैं?
पर उस पे है ना मोबाइल कनेक्शन।
हाँ, 3 बिल भरने के लिए चप्पड़ फाड़ के दिया है ना आपने। फिर किसी अंबानी के घर पे ही मुझको लेके प्रेग्नेंट करवा देते हैं।
मम्मी को लेट हो रहा है, तुम अभी जाओ।
सॉरी गॉड, नो वाईफाई नो गो।
पेश है MCS HomeSpot इंस्टेंट वाईफाई प्लान। अपने घर को वाईफाई घर बनाने का आसान तरीका। प्लग ऑन करें और सिर्फ ₹499 में पाए 5 GB प्रीपेड वाईफाई डेटा, फ्री व्हाट्सएप और वाइबर, एक फैमिली, एक कनेक्शन, एक बिल।
Now you're talking. What's the Wi-Fi password?
now if you see, even the advertising world is now trying to appeal to the internet students. So even there is a research study which recent estimate indicate that these students spend nearly 6.5 to 11 hours per day in multitasking on these kind of activities. And they live in a complicated, remixed, mashed up digital, mobile, always on media environment. They're all. So in contrast, we can call ourselves digital immigrants because we have one foot in the past and the digital is their second language. So we still have one foot in the past and we try to struggle with these kind of technology, adapting ourselves. So this is the reality of today. So another important aspect is the importance of emotions in learning. See, I have been fortunate enough to be involved in research on emotional intelligence, and extensive research supports the fact that emotions are extensively important they play an important role in learning. In fact, that's one. And emotions really override rationality. In fact, if you see the advertisements today, they will show a girl in white dress coming out and speaking in fluent English language and convincing somebody. Suddenly they show the whitening bar or detergent powder. And if they're selling these kind of stuff with these kind of advertisement, you can imagine the emotional connection and the role emotions play in driving our behaviors. So people learn important attitudes, values, and beliefs using role models. We always, try to model others, or imitate others, or emulate, if not students. A process that impacts the learner's emotions. So in general, you see, we are taught people who are teaching organizational behavior. They are very familiar that feelings arise even before concepts in the learners, because when you look at something else, there is something called a perception. We form perception by looking at any visual image even before we fully understand, analyze, absorb, and convert and translate that into meaningful information. So understanding emotionally through intuition comes in advance. First, the heart becomes involved, and then rational process, it clarifies the learning issue. So the effective path is very critical to the rational process of learning. Though technical knowledge and skills can be acquired through training without much of reflection, but if you want to really refine your attitudes, because attitudes are the foundation of behaviors, isn't it? Attitudes are formed based on our values. Values are being formed based on our life experiences, again, which include visual imagery, interactions, and so on. And attitudes mold our behavior. So acquiring virtues and incorporating values require a kind of reflection. In addition to the specific knowledge, so students also must master and they refine their attitudes today. Most of the placement cells of our colleges and companies and recruiters, they say, talk about we hire for attitude. So that's one important thing. So these attitudes and identities are influenced. Uh, so we need to recognize that learners are immersed in popular culture largely framed through emotions and images. So we have a lot of research to show. Of course, before we go in today's millennial.
Amy, you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri, tell me this, Siri, find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri, I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand.
We understand.
What you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pumps, skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes. I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
So this is the kind of attitudes we do see when we have classes at 8:30 in the morning.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. And here, we here, as a team, we're gonna crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. Inch time. Now, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do? I don't know what to say, really.
Hello, am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is So, yes, we have seen in the previous video the power of emotions that it can have an impact on our behavior. So, day in and day out, we are bombarded with advertisements with emotional content, which is framing our attitudes, influencing our behavior, driving us to acquire certain things. So, movies and videos, the medium has the power to utilize the emotions and to not only to sustain and attract the attention of the students, but also to influence their attitudes and behavior. Another important tool is storytelling. Normally in my classes, we find students coming late even after 5 minutes of the start of the session. Then we can bolt it, we can use physical restraints and all that. But what I started doing was in the first 5 to 7 minutes, I narrate one real life motivational story. Today, storytelling has become an important tool and technique, which is extensively being used across the world. And as a discipline, it is being taught, not only in the academics, but also in the industry. Storytelling has been part of, building and sustaining and developing organizational cultures. Life stories are a powerful resource in teaching also. If you look at ancient cultures such as classical Greece, the art of storytelling was often used to teach ethics and human values. Even in our childhood, the later generation people used to listen stories from their grandparents. So storytelling, theater, literature, opera, and movies all have the capacity to supplement learners' understanding of the broad universe of human experience. See, that's the reason why it's called experiential learning. Experiential learning. So emotions are part of experiential learning. So exposure to life experience, either one living or one lived through story, provides what Aristotle has called it as catharsis. So in the normal course of events, people keep their feelings inside. We stuff our feelings inside and store them in unorganized, ill-organized fashion. And we don't think about them at all. Catharsis, on the other hand, helps us empty one's emotional drawers and reorganize them in such a way, structure them to create a pleasant sense of order and relief. So effective teaching is both an intellectual creation and also a performing art. So today, we as teachers not only are instructors, but also facilitators and performers on the stage.
I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? Well, as Apple grew, we hired someone who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and eventually we had a falling out. When we did, our board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that I had dropped the baton as it was being passed to me. I met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a public failure, and I even thought about running away from the Valley. But something began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple did not change that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened. The happiness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about it. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Elaine and I are a perfect fit for a family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle.
Well, this is a very powerful story which we can use to drive home the point of career planning. Even this can be used to influence the attitudes of the audience, and at the same time, even for the subjects like career planning and one's career path, what's your passion, and when they apply, most of the time the kids they don't know what exactly they want. In fact, so knowing oneself, the Johari window, we don't know what we on one side, the blind side. So this is one perfect resource that we can use, storytelling, not only verbally but also visually. You can use these stories. So why do we use videos in teaching? In fact, first and foremost, the most important thing is grab a student's attention, because attention span has been very low, and the greatest challenge is to keep and sustain the attention of the students and to generate the interest in the class, energize or relax. In fact, research has shown that learning happens faster when it's made fun or in a relaxing mode. So principles of learning, which we talk in training and development, those are most important to keep in the perspective. So we have to draw students' imagination, increase memory of content, increasing understanding, making learning fun, creating memorable visual images, inspire and motivate students, because this is what day in and day out the advertisements that are bombarded and we are exposed to, they are doing it, driving people towards action. And then stimulate the flow of ideas. These are some of the why teaching videos. For example, we have the
Hey, thanks a lot. Here, Opie. Remember to tip your waitress.
When cold winds calling. How the sky is clear and bright. Misty mountains.
This is the roughest, toughest cowgirl in the whole West. She loves critters, but none more her best pal, Bullseye. Yeehaw!
I've seen these ants do great things. And year after year, they somehow manage to pick food for themselves and you. So who is the weaker species? Ants don't serve grasshoppers. It's you who need us. We're a lot stronger than you say we are. We know it.
I love you. Oh.
We're not cooks, but we are family. You tell us what to do, and we'll get it done.
Stop that help, Inspector!
Delta T, go, 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 go! The rest of you stay and help run.
Ready?
Ready.
Well, some of these we may not really appreciate, but I'm sure students would look at this. This is about this very short video talks. Well, this video which you have just seen can be used to drive home the themes of organizational structure, processes, teams, predictability, just-in-time inventory management, precision, efficiency, how efficiency is important for driving effectiveness, and so on and so forth. Well, Howard Gardner, the research focuses on multiple intelligences, which are very. His theory proposes that there are. My intelligence has many facets, multiple forms of intelligences. Generally, people are endowed, born with orientation towards specific form of intelligence. That's the reason why some people are naturally, oriented to succeed in certain forms of, callings or vocations and so on. So very briefly, this picture, shows you what summarizes the multiple intelligences. So Gardner talked about naturalistic, he added naturalistic intelligence in the later part of his research. Originally linguistic intelligence, which is talks about excelling in language, visual, spatial, excelling in shapes, designs, graphics, and so on. Musical intelligence, why some people become, very much comfortable, they much oriented towards excelling in those passions. So performing and composing and musical pieces, singing and so on. Interpersonal, intrapersonal intelligence are concerned with emotional intelligence. Interpersonal is ability to, social interactions, that is social relationships and so on. Intrapersonal is ability to understand one's own inner feelings and, about regulating one's own emotions, knowing oneself and so on. Logical intelligence in mathematical, logical thinking, accounting, scientific activities. Kinesthetic intelligence, deals with performing in sports, physical activities and bodily, athletic forms of intelligence. So among Gardner's multiple intelligences, so verbal, visual and musical are core intelligences in every brain. That's what the research says. This is based on research what we are talking about. So verbal linguistic intelligence means learning by reading, writing, speaking, listening, debating, discussing and so on. Visual, spatial, they learn by seeing, by imagining, drawing, sculpting, painting, decorating, designing, graphics, architecture, creating mental images. Musical, rhythmic is they learn by singing. If you go to your any hostels, residential hostels in any B school, and after 8:39 in the night, you find a full blast of music in their rooms, and the students will be sitting on their desks and doing their, projects or probably assignments and so on. So composing, keeping time, performing and recognizing rhythm, these are all forms of, multiple intelligences. So this is a visual So this video, without having a single dialogue, can speak volumes about teams, how teams work, complementary skills. So this kind of pluralistic view of intelligence or mind enables us to think of exposing students to a wide range of learning strategies. So we cannot use a single, follow a single strategy for all kinds of topics, and even extensively using video clips may not really, then it becomes a monotonous thing. A combination of all kinds of learning strategies will, say for example, videos can tap verbal, linguistic, and even musical rhythmic. Gardner researchers said that. And videos can be used to communicate with learners at a very deeper level, actually, because there is a connection. Emotions and the brain, there is a very deeper connection. If you can understand how emotions impact our behavior.
When we hear the word emotion, most of us think of love, hate, happiness, or fear. Those strong feelings we experience throughout life. Our emotions are the driving force behind many of our behaviors, helpful and unhelpful. Just where do our emotions come from? Our brain is wired to look for threats or rewards. If one is detected, the feeling region of the brain alerts us through the release of chemical messages. Emotions are the effect of these chemical messages traveling from our brain through the body. When our brain detects a potential threat, our brain releases the stress hormones adrenaline and cortisol, which prepare us for a fight or flight response. When we detect or experience something rewarding, such as someone doing something nice for you, our brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, or serotonin. These are the chemicals that make us feel good and motivate us to continue on the task or behavior. In these instances, the feeling region of the brain kicks in before the thinking part. Sometimes the reactions of the feeling brain are so strong that it dominates our behaviors and we're unable to think rationally in the moment. Our emotions hijack our brain. While many of our emotional responses happen subconsciously, our thinking can influence our emotions, and sometimes this can be unhelpful. Just thinking about something threatening can trigger an emotional response. This is where we can manage our emotions with conscious thinking. Our emotions play a powerful role in the way we experience the world. Understanding and regulating our emotions through our thoughts and behaviors can help us take greater control of our brain and achieve our goals.
Well, this is one part of the story, and because I am dwelling on the technical scientific basis for use of videos and movies, is not just for fun or not just an entertainment value that we use these movies, and there is an extensive body of scientific research which drives the point. For instance, if you look at the left and right hemispheres, there are two hemispheres separate the brain that relate to the two ways of thinking, verbal and non-verbal. The left hemisphere is predominantly the logical and analytical side that processes information in a sequential manner. For example, like in mathematics, logic, and language. It is also the verbal side of that, which is structured, factual, which is rational mind, we call it as, which is very organized, planned, and objective. So we find even in people predominantly who are very left hemisphere oriented, leftist, we call them. Miller, 1997. In contrast, the right hemisphere is the non-verbal creative side. So if you really want, creativity is now today is the most important, because given the kind of pandemic situation, why most of the companies are driving creativity out of need, out of existential crisis. So right hemisphere is the non-verbal creative side, which is very spontaneous, emotional, which is disorganized, in fact. Emotional, experimental, empathetic, subjective, intuitive, and is seeking relationships. It focuses on art, color, pictures, music, and all that. So you will be surprised to see that nowadays there are new age parenting consulting companies have come up. So though this is an advertisement, in fact, I was very much surprised to see in a place like Indore, which is a tier 3 town. So you have these kind of consulting, companies which are now training on all these aspects of left brain, right brain, multiple intelligences, and trying to, train the would-be parents. And you will be surprised to see there are, institutes which focus on, orienting and training kids from the babies, in fact. So from the age of, few days and months. Infant Siddha program, that's what ISP learning. Infant Siddha trains, young child from the time of conception till the age of 8. So, though its visibility is poor, develop both right and left brain of the child, give the child love for loving, bring up very happy and playful child. These are, I am surprised, 9-week sessions, for the online Siddha, infant Siddha program. So this is very surprising. Now we are business schools are now becoming outdated in terms of somebody said dead of MBA and so on and so forth. So now you're wanting to hold the infants from the day they are born without leaving them free. So times are changing. Well, I'm not able to open the link. So we find this engaging the left side and right side, both are essentially required. Simply logical brain alone, because the research of Damasio and associates have revealed that decision making requires emotional brain to be involved. Otherwise, people cannot make decisions simply by using logical brain. So a video clip engages both the hemispheres. The left side processes the dialogue, plot, rhythm, and lyrics. The right side processes the visual images, relationships, sound effects, melodies, and harmonic relationships.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's it for today. We have a game tomorrow, so get some rest tonight. And remember, ties and jackets tomorrow. Clyde. Mr. Cruz, I'm impressed with what you've done, but you came up short. You owe me 80 suicides and 500 push-ups. Please leave my gym. Thanks, Clyde. Gentlemen, see you tomorrow.
I'll do push-ups for him. You said we're a team. One person struggles and we all struggle. One player triumphs, we all triumph, right?
I'll do some. I'll run suicides too.
I'll do some too.
Fine. Let's keep count. Call me when they're done.
Well, however much we dwell on a lecture mode and talking about team building, cohesiveness, bonding, and so on, this video clip talks volumes about empathy, support, cohesiveness, bonding, the strength of a team, and so on. So if you look at the cross section of the brain, so how brain responds to videos, though it's some technical, we need to understand the scientific basis of using these videos. So MacLean found the three layers of the brain. One is the reptilian brain stem, which forms 5%. And this reptilian brain, which performs the basic tasks such as breathing, essential tasks, breathing, pulse, heart rate, determines the nature of sound, its direction, volume, potential threats, and all that. So we have another layer, which is the inner layer or limbic brain, which forms 10% of the brain's layer, which is the center of our emotions. In fact, the limbic brain is the center of emotions, which reacts to videos, any emotions, any content, emotional content. This limbic brain reacts. And this is the one which reacts to videos with appropriate emotions and long-term memory. See, you find these emotions will form, emotional memory will create neural networks in the brain. If you observe a small baby which doesn't understand language, just born a few days baby, but baby will understand the feelings. It will form neural networks based on the emotional responses of her mother. So emotion is a language which an infant can understand even before it can acquire any language in the first place. So the third part of it is the outer layer wrapper or a bark, which called neocortex or cerebral cortex brain, which is 85% of the brain, which controls hearing, vision, language, higher functions, and which will respond to the video clips intellectually. So, so if we combine all these together, video clip as a teaching tool does the following. As found in the research, it taps the core intelligences, which are most importantly verbal, linguistic, visual, rhythmic, and emotional. These are the three core fundamental intelligence according to Howard Gardner. So video clips tap all the three core intelligences in the brain. On the other side, we have the left and right hemispheres of the brain are also being engaged in the video mode. So on the third dimension, look at the reptilian, limbic, and neocortex layers of the brain also are being appealed in the sense that they are also, appealing to these brains sense, to sense the nature of the sounds and to react to the scenes and music emotionally and appreciate it intellectually. So all these three research insights from multiple angles, from the multiple intelligences, from the hemispheres of the brain, and then the three different parts of the brain indicate that visual imagery will have a very strong emotional, attitudinal impact on the learner.
Sir, hello.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. There is a. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please. I am hearing somebody talking. Can you mute your mics, please? Or if you have a question.
Yeah, sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, sir. I'm Govind from Gujarat. Two questions, sir. One, what is the flip side of teaching the emotional stimuli or using emotional stimulus?
The flip side is that we, first question I will answer.
And then second is when we teach, when we stimulate any emotion, and we expect that it will lead to certain learning. There are two ways. One stimulus is where the locus of control is individual, and there may be the stimulus which may be third party.
Yes.
So what do you suggest? Because many a times because you are referring to something which is psychological in nature, and maybe you are also bringing some socio-psychological understanding or socio-psychological perspective. But I am a little worried about using psychological perspective, which has very long-term impact on students. So how do you basically suggest to handle it effectively, where the negative side of it, or maybe other side of it, should not dominate, the very purpose of teaching?
Yeah. Thank you. The flip side of using videos is that students tend to focus more on visual content. Suppose I'm showing a video clip on a movie. So they will focus more on the content of the movie, characters, and storyline rather than the learning. That is where the role of the instructor will come to the play. So during the next 2-3 slides, I will show you how to design your instructional part, structure your instructional design in such a way that students do not get focused only on the visual part and get carried away by the characters in the movies or visuals, but rather to regulate and stimulate discussion on those topics. That is one. Second thing, as regards the psychological impact of videos on the people, we need to carefully select the contents of the videos in such a way that there are certain parameters which I would be discussing in the next slide. How do we select the content of the videos? And that's where the role of the instructor comes to the play. So if you just look at the final why the instructor, the next slide comes into the play, then I think even after that, if I am not able to address your question, we will sure. The flip side is this: students get carried away only by the story. Yeah.
Did you read something? What? Yeah, you should tell the story in the next class.
Hello? Yes, yes. Sorry.
Very good.
Hello? So here the yeah. Hello? Hello? Hello, is somebody wanting to talk? See, why instructors are needed? See, educational outcomes, they don't materialize simply by watching movies or video clips. Because people attend cinemas all the time, see the same scenes. And while they might have similar emotions, the reflective process is lacking. That is where the competence and the teaching skills of the facilitator come into play. That is by putting all the scenes together and fostering reflection through comments and personal thoughts, even as unanswered open questions are introduced. So the instructor role consists not just to pouring out emotions, but in catalyzing this process by which the audience moves from the emotions to immerse themselves in reflection. In fact, I have used this 12 Angry Men movie also, which is screened outside the class, and then a dedicated one session for discussion in the class. So reflection is more important. In specific concrete ways, the instructor should modulate and regulate the discussion. And what kind of lessons they have learned from the clay in their daily lives. These experiences, they are real educational footprints. They become open doors for generating the attitudes, in fact. So, yeah? Sorry? Hello, can somebody, hello? Hello, Isha, can you mute your mic?
Sir, my mic is muted. There's someone else. I'm just checking.
Yeah, please. So in order to succeed here, instructors need to be familiar with the methodology, isn't it? And be enthusiastic. Should know, because knowledge about the learners are also. Familiarity with the methodology is also important, most important.
1 second. Hello, participants. Hello, Sonal and other participants. Can you please mute your mics? Will you please mute your mics? Yeah, please mute your mics. Sir, carry on.
So in order to succeed in this endeavor, instructors need to be familiar with the methodology and be enthusiastic. They must know their learners thoroughly. And sometimes, if you use the same clip in different batches, it may not, click. Actually, I have experienced this. So I keep changing the clips and contents in order to suit the learners, to update them, because they want always updated things. The latest things which are coming in, they relate too much. You need to be faster. You need to be, if not faster than them, at least to be in equal pace with them to catch up the latest lingo, latest beats of music and popular films which are coming in, and to analyze and how you do it. So knowledge about movies is necessary, but it's not sufficient. So these are most important things. So these are some of the steps for using movies. So picking up there are 3 sets of criteria that must be considered before you pick up a slip. One is the student's characteristics, as I said. Second is the offensiveness of the video. So today we find most of the even advertising videos, they are offensive. In fact, showing either a class of people or a gender in poor light, you will find them, but they have become popular and they have become fun, and they are advertising videos. One of such movies, one of the advertising video which I would, if time permits, I will show you before the end of this session. Though it's a lot of fun, and we can talk about non-verbal communication, body language, and so on. But at the same time, it is also offensive towards a particular gender. So offensiveness, it's very difficult to find video clips which today's generation, they're common. FMBs are common with these people, but we can't use them in the open class. So either we have to mute those dialogue very clearly, and the video structure also is very important. So instructors should make every effort to reject any material that is even borderline or potentially offensive or any discriminative against any caste, creed, or religion. So there is a wide range of video categories that can be used in this class. The actual choice will depend on the purpose for which we are, or the outcome and the characteristics of the students and their interest also. So these are some of the steps
Sir,
that can be
excuse me,
followed.
can I have a question?
Yeah.
Can I put the question, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, is it YouTube and Google from which is the source of the videos, or?
Yes. I will show you in the end. Yeah, I know you are eager. You are very fast, audience. You want to go to the next level. I have given the sources of the videos where you find them. And most importantly, I will come to that. I will answer your question. So we should be very specific. Say, for example, I'll show a small clip without any, because of the paucity of time, I could not show many videos. This is without any dialogue or.
Espera un momento.
Quería darme de alta en autónomas.
Ventanilla de información, modelo TA1, lo cumplimenta en esa mesa y después.
Lo he traído relleno.
No ha rellenado esa casilla. Vaya a las mesas de la entrada y...
Traigo 2 copias, escritas y revisadas.
Le falta el peso de Hacienda. Y la fotocopia. Muy bien, Rubita. Tú lo has escrito. Fotocopia del DNI. Número de cuenta. Fotocopia de la tarjeta de la Seguridad Social. Fotocopia de los impresos de Hacienda. Doble fotocopia del modelo 036, numerado y grapado.
Well, this clip I have used in the course Organizational Structure and Design. We're talking about bureaucracy and rationality, bureaucracy, rules, regulations, formalities, and so on. So not a word is being really not much is there, but it talks more. We had a discussion about 30 minutes on this. And next step is you need to prepare detailed specific guidelines for students. For example, I have included one project of 20 marks. The title of the assignment is Design Your Own Assignment. So student teams, they can choose to analyze a movie or analyze and compare the workplace practices or HR process in tour. This is part of a course on human resource management. Or, conduct original survey research and so on, or so many other. So then I impose certain conditions. They should focus on any of these OB topics. So you draw the boundary so that they don't go away haywire. Be generalistic in terms of commenting on every OB and HR are two different aspects. I don't want them to focus on OB. So specifically, I have put a condition that it has to address only HR issues. These are only illustrative. So these are the detailed guidelines that I have been. They have to submit a synopsis and name of the movie, organization, and all that detailed conditions are there. What parameters the assessment will take place. And I have also created an exclusion list. They cannot use these movies because in the previous batches they are used or they are available online, or they'll copy paste things like that. So the exclusion list itself is more than 84, and even exclusion list of companies so that they don't copy from the student projects which I have already done on these companies. This is an illustrative, it's not an exhaustive thing. It's illustrative of preparing specific guidelines. Then introduce the video briefly, like I have shown the video, playing the clip, set a time for reflection on what was the scene. assign an activity, learning activities, then structure a discussion on this. So if you want to show an entire movie, because in organizational behavior, in decision making, we have used 12 Angry Men entire movie. So we have used outside the class, the movie has been screened. Even now we continue to do that in OB2 group behavior. So we need to structure the discussion around these questions. Otherwise, the focus, the flip side of using these videos is you will get lost only in the content, the storyline, the characters. They keep talking about the storyline and characters in the presentations. You have to confine them to bringing them and linking them to the concepts. So these are some of the sources for selecting videos or moving. TED Talk videos are there. There, I have used only short clips in this presentation because of paucity of time. Actually, this topic, we need at least 3 sessions to dwell on, interact, discuss among the participants. So I am running a monologue because just one session is there. Actually, the biggest resource is YouTube videos that are top rated, most often viewed. There are TV series also. Actually, students are the best source. If you tell them, you design your own assignment using videos, they will do a better selection. We only have to give them the guidelines, the do's and don'ts, no offensive language, no vulgar language, no vulgar scenes and so on, and confined to the topics. Informal surveys and Champak's works are there, which include detailed exercises, workbooks, clips, points of discussion. There is one popular book called Moving Images, which inspires teachers and trainers to use film and TV in their classrooms. How? So this is the book. This is an expensive book, but we can buy for the library. So this will inspire teachers, to academicians to use films and television for in their classrooms to show them how it might be done. And there are extensive resources. In fact, Champak's resources, you see, feature presentations, organizational behavior, strategy, human resource management. There are so many resources available. So these are some of the resources that we can use. So most important thing is that we guide the entire process in a structured fashion. So out of experience, we will gain some competence in terms of how to do it. So the fundamental question whether charisma of the faculty plays a role or not. So it's a question that is debatable. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And as I said, the flip side is that we get dwelling into that. So while selecting the clips itself, we have to be very careful in terms of it. So I can take 1 or 2 questions. We have around 1 or 2 minutes for this session. I'm sorry for not being able to be extensive in terms of discussing and debating. So mostly because of the visual, this is a visual pedagogy. So I have used some of the video clips. I have not been able to use many videos which I plan to show you. Very short and crisp videos on organizational citizenship behavior and so on and so forth. There is a beautiful employee engagement video from the Forrest Gump movie, and same movie, organizational citizenship behavior, one clip is there. So any questions? I'm sorry if I'm just want to clarify whether I have addressed the earlier questions or not. So request the audience if they have any questions.
Dr. Atul, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Atul here. I just want to ask you because I used to show such type of videos in the OB and HR classes, and many a times, that the class duration is 1 hour, and I used to use 15-20 minutes to show that video. Suppose if the videos are lengthy, like TED Talk about the Harsha Bogle relating to the IPL, which I showed to our student. But most of the time, the students didn't get at one go actually, and then we used to repeat it again. And many a time students are not getting the exact thing. So how to structure that class actually so that we should put.
Yeah. Sure. Normally, when I have bigger videos to screen, I plan in advance in such a way and schedule 2 sessions consecutively. Of course, there will be 5-10 minutes break in between, a 15 minutes break. 2 consecutive sessions. Normally, our sessions are 75 minutes duration. Now, 1.5 hours to 75 minutes. So, after 2 sessions, one after the other, are scheduled for the same class. If I have such a plan for such a, say a bigger screening of a bigger video, either we schedule 2 sessions consecutively, or we share the video to the students, ask them to view the video at their leisure and come back with their comments and discussion within the confined structure and focus on specific issues that you have defined. These are the 2 ways we can do it. Normally, if I have such thing, I will do either schedule the class in the last class of the day or combine 2 sessions. I plan it in such a way, timetable scheduled in that way. And best way is to take small clips, short clips. But if it is not essentially required, this is the only way we can get over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, I thank the participants. My ignorance, I seek your excuse, and there is extensive resource of this abundance of resources are available online free of cost. Only thing is we need to research a bit. YouTube is a very big resource, and I have a very good collection of YouTube videos and movie clips, mostly movie clips, and also in general videos are also biographical, Srinivasa Ramanujam and all that. So very interesting videos, the trailers on the movies, very short ones to bigger ones also. So this is a very useful tool which I have found. Only thing is we need to keep regulating and keep them on the track. Otherwise, we'll get lost only in the emotions, only in the subject matter of the video clip. So thank you very much once again. And with this, end my session.
Thank you, Dr. Ikirala. Thank you. Thanks for honoring our invitation. Okay, thank you for enriching the audience. Okay, adding another tool to their kitty when they walk into the classroom. I myself attended this session, and I found I'll take at least a quarter of my life to accumulate the kind of resources that you have accumulated. Okay, the numbers and videos in your kitty are numerous, and which each video, though I as a teacher, I don't use them extensively. Okay, but now I think I have another tool in my hand to utilize in the classroom. So thank you, sir. Thank you for those 90 minutes of fantastic, fantastic interaction with the participants. And I hope participants might have learned a lot and they can use this tool in the classroom as well. Thank you. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, now participants, we break for lunch. We catch up again at our scheduled time, which is 2:30. Okay, and then have a nice lunch. We catch up again at 2:30. Thank you. In case if you have any questions, you can throw them.
Sir, we have been provided the MCQ questions in our WhatsApp group. How do we submit them, sir, regarding this session of sir?
MCQ questions have been shared with you people already.
Yes, sir.
Who shared it?
I don't know, sir. We have
Okay, you
received.
don't have to do, you simply do not have to do anything with it. Okay, reserve them with you. Okay. As I told you yesterday in our interaction, that a test will be conducted at the end of the. Okay, so it will be conducted at the end of the workshop. Okay, in case somebody has sent you those questions, I'm so sorry. Okay, maybe you won't get these questions again in your examination. Okay, I'll look into it. Okay, so you don't have to do with those questions, discard them. Okay, or have them with them. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so catch you again at 2:30, right? Right. So you need not log out. So stay logged in. You don't really have to log out right now. Okay. So catch you again at 2:30. Thank you.
దీన్ని షట్ డౌన్ చేయకు మళ్ళీ 2:30కి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది అటెండెన్స్ మోట్ అవుతుంది అట్లా ఉందని పక్కన నాకు ఎగ్జామ్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది
మ్యూట్ ఉందా మ్యూట్ లేదా అది అమ్మా మ్యూట్ ఉందా మ్యూట్ లేదా
మ్యూట్ చేసి మ్యూట్లో ఉంది
ఎందుకు ఇట్లా
సారీ